and welcome to another Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. I'm Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo, your host. So with my return, I decided to come up with a pseudo schedule. And I'm going to call it a pseudo schedule because I need to flesh it out, but I need to make a guarantee right now. I'm going to have a schedule that's going to deliver at least 5 videos a week for Star Citizen. And I'm saying 5 because I do work a full-time job. And it is difficult to come up with this content. I'm finding it's increasingly difficult because 3.17 has been around for so long that most of the content I could deliver, you've probably already heard from different YouTubers or streamers. Regardless, I had to take a look at my older shows and think of which ones I would be bringing back. So first off, I will not be bringing back State of the Game. It is not up to me, a content creator, to deliver something called State of the Game, because I think that that is something that should come from the developer, so they could tell you where the game is at. Other YouTubers started using that name, and I'm sure it just comes from people that have covered other games before, and I'm sure State of the Game is something that's been around for a while. But I was using that name probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So what I'm going to do instead is deliver what I've been delivering over the last couple of years. I iterated and ideated on a name and came up with one with a professor of mine from college, and it was called My 2 Cents. Because what I'm really doing in these videos is giving my opinion. I'm giving you my 2 cents. So today we're going to start with a little bit of disappointment, and that's 3.18 being delayed. I'm not disappointed. I know some of you might be, and it might bring a rash of negative press by people that are looking for hits on YouTube, because we all know negative videos generate a lot more viewers than a positive one. But I'm kind of happy that they delayed it. There's so many times in the past that CIG knew that things might be buggy and released it, and it took a lot longer in testing to get through those bugs. So with them knowing what exactly was going wrong in the 3-hour test that they did with the Avocati and pulling it from the release schedule for mid-November and moving it to the beginning to middle of December, I'm okay with that. Even if it starts to encroach on what should be 3.19, which should be going to Avocati sometime in January. So what are we going to get? We're going to get 3.17.4, and that's going to come with the IAE, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. And I'm pretty happy about that part, because that means that they're not going to delay something that needs to come out on the same day or same time span every year. Am I looking forward to IAE? I always do. It's an opportunity to rent ships that I don't normally get to fly. It's an opportunity to get my group together and go on an excursion to Orison and take a look at what's going on. It's an opportunity to see whatever new is coming out. Normally there's a couple of ships that are either going to be flyable or soon to be flyable or in concept that they're going to sell at that point. My guess would be that since they sold the $100 ship at CitizenCon, that they're probably going to sell a much more expensive ship at IAE, but we won't know until that happens. I did hear a couple of leaks though, and I know there's a Xi'an armor coming out in 3.18 or later. There's a medical Pisces coming out in 3.18 or later. And then there's some kind of a manufacturing vessel from Argo that's coming out in 3.18 or later. Now, one of the things with the leaks, when people go and data mine the patches, you have to be very, very careful about thinking that means something's definitely coming or that something's coming now. If you start to look back at a ship like the 400, it was data mined way before it actually made it into the game. So just because we saw things in the data mine for 3.18 doesn't mean that they're readily coming. But somebody could hope, and I always hope for new flyable ships, because new is always better than old. Barney Stinson. I also want to talk this week about CitizenCon. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought that the content was realistically delivered. I liked the fact that they weren't giving any of these time schedules that they wouldn't be able to meet, that they were saying that it will be coming when it comes. And I really like that Chris Roberts spent 2.5 hours answering a question, well, answering many questions, and really did a lot to quell that ambiguity behind, is Star Citizen still receiving as much concentration, as much effort in its development as Squadron 42? And what he showed us was that everything that they're doing is for both games, and yes, that they are definitely being co-developed. So I really enjoyed it. I've said this before, and I really need this to be in my 2 cents. It wasn't a CitizenCon, and I wish to God that they never used that name. It was a presentation. That's what it was, and let's just call it what it was, because we were not involved. And I want to point this out, that in the beginning, they needed to involve the community, because they were getting all of our money, and why not? Because the more they did, the more we threw at them. But at a certain point, CIG started to pull away from us and started to become that big corporation. Now, obviously, there were reasons for that. Chris Roberts being unchecked answering our questions is what's gotten CIG into the biggest problems, like the biggest trouble. Chris would answer questions and give unrealistic time schedules that things would be coming out, or talk about things that were still being iterated on and that didn't come out. And that needed to be quelled. That needed to be lassoed and tied down. But what that did do is it moved away from the community being part of the development. Now we're not. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, there's the Evocati. Yes, we're doing tests. Yes, there's a lot of things on Spectrum, and we could ask the developers a lot of questions. But they decided to make these really over-the-top productions for their weekly videos, which is good. They're easier to look at, and they usually carry a lot more specific content. But when they involved us, the community, there was also that look into the enjoyment that we were having. Yes, we could just go on YouTube or Twitch and watch streamers, but much of that content being delivered wasn't from streamers. It was from everyday people. And not having something like the Citizen commercial this year, like the commercial contest, was a letdown. Not having a look at like the parties that were going on, a look at the people that really love the game, really removed that citizen aspect to CitizenCon. And I really challenge CIG to be better at including the community in the future, and never, ever, 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 ever do another CitizenCon as a presentation and call it a CitizenCon. Call it what it is. It is okay for companies like Apple and Google and Samsung to deliver new product announcements through video. But it's never okay to call a CitizenCon, a virtual CitizenCon, what it is when it doesn't involve the community. We look forward to that. It's our opportunity to meet people, to see things we've never seen before, to network, to engage in community events. And we didn't have that. There were no community events even scheduled for the weekend. There was a race that nobody knew about that they waited 2.5 hours to begin, but there should have been more content. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit. So, CitizenCon, I liked it. Don't like the fact that they used the name CitizenCon, and I'm looking forward to a lot of things coming from it. We will talk about much of it. We already talked about the elephant in the room, which was, of course, the new flight model, which is the old flight model, as I showed by showing you older videos that I had. But I'm excited for it because I love that type of dogfighting. I'm waiting right now for the Q&A to be released for the Spirit, and hopefully tomorrow I'll have a video about my reaction to the Spirit. Been holding on to my opinion until after the Q&A because of CIG's consistent issues with releasing concept ships that have brochures that say one thing, a website that says something else, and a developer that says a third thing that's absolutely different. I'm going to address the other elephant in the room, and that's what's going on the screen right now. I've been back for about 3 weeks now, and I've been playing the game consistently about 15 to 20 hours a week. I'm still enjoying it, and I still love it. And I think what's different about this time that I'm playing from last time is that I've been very diverse in the things I do. In the past, I was very combat-centric, running claim jumper missions and monitor missions and bounty hunter missions and anything I could to fight things in my ship. Because in my eyes, this game was all about Wing Commander and Privateer and Freelancer. And it wasn't really Rainbow Six. Well, I've been doing a lot of bunker missions. I've been doing pickup missions. I've been doing the derelict site missions and mining. And that's what I'm showing you right now. Mining in Star Citizen is about as exciting to watch as golf or fishing in any other MMO. It's not exciting. And that's why I put it here. So there wasn't something exciting to take you away from me when I'm discussing with you my thoughts on the game. But I did want to point out one thing, that in the past where I found mining very boring and very unrewarding. Sorry, Vreeden, you taught me how to mine, and I really just didn't stick to it. I think I'm going to stick to it now. Have a nomad and a rock, have a smile. It's great. It's not something I'll do every day, all day. But if you need an easy 100 grand and you're willing to spend an hour to 2 hours, you're going to get it. And you might even get 200 grand if you're lucky enough to get all head night. This is such a good piece of gameplay. I'm going to say it's definitely not for every day, all day long, but I love the little mini game, especially when you have to go find all the little pieces to Dyson up. It's pretty amazing. All right, my last piece is going to be talking about Grumpy Eye and about Salty Mike, because I know where they're coming from. Both of them in the last week have expressed discontent, or I should say it's not discontent. They've expressed their frustration with finding content to create on a regular basis. I've been there, and I left. And both of them talked about taking a break. Both of them accused the other one of quitting, but really it's about taking a break. And there were a lot of comments passed back and forth between the two and their reaction videos of each other's video. And one of the things was, your channel's going to fail if you do that in your Star Citizen channel. You should just create another channel. And they're talking about trying to diversify and create another channel to put your other videos up on. And Grumpy Eye said, I don't have all of those viewers like Salty Mike does that are going to go and instantly give me a channel with 1,000 viewers and 4,000 hours of views and be able to monetize. Well, I'm going to say it this way. Gentlemen, I've been where you both are right now. I was very consistent. And, each one of you said that you've been the most consistent. And I'm going to say it this way. I was the most consistent. I had Ben's Day week after week after week for 2 years. I had videos up all the time for 3 or 4 years. And you get to a point where you feel like you're starting to regurgitate the same things that you said months ago or years ago, or one patch lasts forever and you just run out of things to say. And I'm going to say it. Somebody new is always going to come in to play the game. Cobra did it and got a lot of people watching him. Ollie did it, and he has a lot of people watching him. When I left, it was Board Gamer that jumped in, and he has a lot of people watching him. It's very hard to come back full speed ahead when you leave, because the people go and look for somebody else to deliver that content. And then you're just one of the many. You guys are a lot more solid than I was, because when I was doing it, there weren't as many people that were playing the game. And now there's so many people that didn't play before. They probably don't even know who I am and that my videos even existed. I would say, gentlemen, take a 2-week hiatus from doing regular content, but keep your regular shows going. Yeah, that sounds contradictory, doesn't it? Just don't do many videos over the next 2 weeks, but then return to doing all the videos that you do. It is extremely difficult to come back from leaving content creation on a regular basis for Star Citizen. And if there isn't anything to do, anything to talk about, find something. Look for the community, talk about what's going on in the community, or create something based on something that you like to do in the game. And I'm going to say it in a different way. It is all right. It is perfectly all right to actually engage in other videos. You may lose some people at first, but you'll gain some people on the other end. I gained people in X-Plane that never played Star Citizen before and then started and continued to watch me. But now I'm finding it very difficult to come back because I left. Gentlemen, I hope it works out for you, and you have my full support in taking a break, but I would say don't make it too long. Try to be as consistent as you can. Keep that community building. And I know what you mean when people say, thank you so much. I look so forward to your show. It's made so much, made such a big effect on me. I know what it feels to be endowed to these people that watch us. They are our community, and we do owe it to them because we're content creators. We don't exist without them, kind of like CIG doesn't exist without their community. So do think about what you're doing when you take that break, because there are many people that rely on you. And I know it sucks to be relied on, but it should also be a humbling experience. All right, I'm done. I talked a lot today. I wanted to keep this one at 15. I went over. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up button below. If you are a subscriber or have recently subscribed, please click that notification icon below and you'll be notified of all my future videos. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It'll help the channel grow, and I need to get back to where I was before I stop doing my videos, because it's my quest. And with that said, you all be safe out there, and I will talk to you soon.